I feel like we should have like one of those Mylar balloon or 2 Mylar balloons that says like 75 or 75K or something.
Or at least like a confetti cannon.
Yeah. Oh, no, that would be really fun. We are here celebrating 75,000 subscribers on YouTube. Like, can you believe it? We can't
believe it. And at the beginning of this year, I looked and we had kind of, in the spring, had a really big increase, and I said, we're on course for our play button. And we kind of are.
Is at 100,000 subscribers. For those of you that don't know, you get this like play button from YouTube.
It's a plaque to commemorate your channel, and it's a congratulations. And we kind of are on course. So if you have never shared one of our videos or shared our channel with anybody, maybe you could do that now. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that now, because we want our play button. 75 is great, but it's not enough.
I think the thing about the numbers is that it kind of tells us, well, okay, when I first started these YouTube videos, I was filming by myself. Christy, who is my neighbor, was at her house 2 doors down, plugging away on her work. Actually, you were at the office.
I had an office job.
And I was here all lonely in my kitchen, and I was talking to no one. It was not literally no one, because it was my mom.
Her mom watched
My mom was watching every one of my videos. Thank you so much, Mom. So it started with my mom, and then we started to have a few people that would tune in, and it encouraged me to keep going. And then it got to the point where there were enough people tuning in that I was like, Christy, how about you come make videos with me? And
she needed some star power, and she knew it.
Absolutely.
I have done videos by myself very seldom. Once here, twice maybe at my own house, and it is hard to do it by yourself, and to keep that energy up, so much easier with a friend. So are freezer meals. Do freezer meals with a friend.
Absolutely.
Do YouTube videos with your friend.
Totally. It is so much easier to keep your energy up, and to have that back and forth banter. Like when I'm trying to have banter in a video, just me and you, it's a little bit difficult because I can't hear your responses, whereas with you, it's right here.
I'm right here.
It's in real time. So we just appreciate your support. We appreciate those of you who've been here from the very beginning. We also appreciate those of you who just found us yesterday and have been binging our old videos, because it's thanks to you that we are celebrating this milestone. And every time we celebrate a milestone, we give you some bloopers. So we're gonna show you a few of those behind the scenes, and then we'll come back. Now, if you wanted to give all of our wings a try, maybe you could have like a what do you call that? Like
a flight of wings.
Like a contest. Sheep hen, roasted garlic vegetable.
Who names these things?
Take 10,000.
Like Charlotte said earlier, we want to get that excess air out of the bag. We're going to seal it up, and we're going to eat it. No. We're going to seal it up and freeze it.
We also put it in our Facebook group that you could give us questions that we would answer during this Q&A. So Michelle said, lives outside of freezer cooking, specifically more about the foster and adoption journey. Last time that we did a Q&A video, we did have a lot of interest in my foster and adoption story. For those of you that don't know, 5 of my kids are adopted, and my husband and I were foster parents as well for 8 years in addition to that. So what I'm going to do is at the end of this video, I'm going to share my foster and adoption journey with you. So for those that are interested in that story, which probably will be a little long, I'll warn you now, you can find that at the end. But let's talk a little bit about our lives outside of freezer cooking.
We can. Most of you know, well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. I'm married, I have 2 kids, they are teenagers. If you are a regular on this channel, you will know that my son is really into sports, and he's been playing a lot of football, and he's 15, and so he eats like like a garbage truck. No, he eats a little bit better than a garbage truck, but there's still not a lot of vegetables going in there. He has been going out on the motorbike with my husband, and the pants that he had bought that have the padding and the, you know, the protection in them are, at first they were a little tight. They now fit and are a little loose.
Oh.
It's kind of crazy. He is stretching up. I think he weighs the same, but he's just going.
They do that out and up and out and up thing, boys.
And he's doing the up right now, I'll tell you that much. My daughter, I spent the morning with her this morning. We went out, this is very exciting stuff. We went out looking at seniors' homes for my mom. She is living up in Grand Prairie, and that's where I grew up, which is in northern Alberta. And she just needs to live closer to me. I can't move to Grand Prairie right now because making videos from my kitchen and Charlotte's kitchen at the same time would be really hard. So we're going to move her here to me to be a little closer so I can take care of her better. And so she and I, my daughter and I, went around this morning to a few different homes. And I know it was kind of lame to hang out with her that way, but we just had a really nice time.
She's a really great kid.
She is, and we picked up some Starbucks, and we did that, and then we went to Sephora. Like, we just had a girls' morning, and it was just nice to hang out with her. I like my kids. I enjoy hanging out with my kids. And for those of you that are following along on my husband's broken leg journey, he's still at home. I don't know how many weeks this will be, but he broke his leg in April, and maybe he'll be going back by the time this video goes up, but he is still at home. My yard has never looked as good as it looks because he can get on the riding mower, and he just has been fixing everything around the house. He's had all this time. He's quite relaxed. I think I'm going to like the retirement version of my husband. And the best part is I like my husband. He's a nice guy. So when I work from home, it's nice to have him there. I'm really enjoying that part of this season of life.
Totally. And he can't drive yet, which is kind of what the holdup is from going back to work. But he's got this sort of golf course thing set up in the empty yard next to theirs.
So we've been hitting balls every night. We set up a croquet set the other night. I had some friends visiting from out of town. It's just a party. We got the pool set up. It is a party at our house pretty much all the time.
And I don't know. I'm a mom of many. And and outside of like kids and being a mom, I like to read. Christy does too. So often here on the channel, we'll have like an impromptu unofficial book club in the middle of our freezer cooking videos. But it's just, discussing the latest of what we're reading or what we're interested in. I really like the mountains. I like hiking. I don't do it nearly often enough, but I do love it. It's so beautiful, and it's a way that I can kind of push myself physically that's actually fun. Oh, and you've started at the gym.
I have started at the gym. Perimenopause is a funny thing. Finally, there's a point in my life where they say, you must do this if you want to have good quality of life. I don't know why now was the time that I decided to listen, but I'm lifting and I'm getting stronger, so I enjoy the gym. I really, really do.
She gets up like early in the morning to be there, and she does it all like multiple times a week.
Twice a week. I have gone 2 times every week, except for one where I hurt my back, but then I walked that day, so I still counted it, even though it wasn't a gym day. I made up for it. All or something. # all or something. It is a thing.
Absolutely. All or something is a little bit the way we do our freezer meals too.
Sometimes.
We're gonna share some more bloopers with you, and we'll be back.
But we're professionals, and we handled it. This is Korean of the chicken influence. No, chicken of the Korean influence.
This first one is pretty new to us. It is Spineapple. Spineapple? What's a spineapple?
It's a cartoon.
New thing. New ingredient.
I think we have a large baseball bat in Edmonton. Not quite like the one in Louisville, Kentucky, but I think we have a big bat in Edmonton. Like a baseball bat, not a bat. You're an Enneagram 4. You have a deep well for emotions.
You are an Enneagram 9, and you are kind and lovely.
And 4s and 9s are often best friends.
It's true. And I'm just kind of dramatic. Actually, I'm so much less dramatic than I was when I was younger. I'm pretty even.
Yeah, yes, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're very logical. Even though there's high emotion.
It's the wing 5. It's
It's
the
your 5
researcher.
wing. Yes, I understand that. I don't know if we might as well use this.
You're sure?
I don't know if any of you understood what we were talking about. There's a thing called the Enneagram, and it's pseudopsychology. It's a personality test.
But it's fun and it's helpful and it's really helpful for relationships. Like
I thought-
not just like marriage relationships, but like
Work relationships, friendships,
yes.
you bet.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So we have another interest. we're like, as we went to the bloopers, we were like, do we not really have anything other than like our kids to share about ourselves? You garden.
I do garden, and I like flowers, and okay, I have recently started birding.
Right.
And I was at my brother's lake cabin several weekends ago, and my niece and nephew from different brothers, so they're cousins, are both into birding. Well, darned if I didn't just jump right in, and they made it look so exciting. And I mean, she's almost 30, and he is 20 years old, and he is into birding. And so on my way over here today, I saw a blue jay, and I'm like, whoop, got another bird. I've seen blue jays before, but now it's on my list. And then there's the Netflix TV show, The Residents.
Yes.
And Detective Cordelia Cupp is a fantastic birder, and she is the world's best detective. So you must watch that show if you haven't. It's very good.
I was trying to think of my other interests, and they're not that exciting. When I was like in high school and in early college years, I wanted to be a forensic psychiatrist, which is like kind of like depressing, or like
It's not that far off though, because you're super into true crime.
Yes, so I'm still into like that whole what makes people tick, whether it's crime or like interesting relationships or just interesting people. I love, more than almost anything in the world, I love listening to someone who is passionate about anything. If they're talking about like something I have no interest in whatsoever, I don't know.
You watched a basketball documentary.
Totally.
You've never watched a basketball game in your life,
No.
but she was riveted.
I love stories. I love stories and storytelling and people and brains, and like, I don't know what that makes me, but
It makes you interesting, because I'll tell you what, she comes home from a vacation with her husband and she'll say, we met the most interesting people. And do you know why? She asks the most interesting questions. You should be an interviewer.
oh, I would love that. That would be like
She would
my
be a
favorite job.
fantastic interviewer. And Charlotte doesn't have small talk. She usually skips medium talk and goes straight to the deep talk.
I guess.
And people answer her. She doesn't seem like a very direct
Strangers
person.
answer me.
She says to Christy's husband, so how are you feeling about going back to work? You've been off for a long time. Are you intimidated? Are you nervous about it? Do you have to do any retraining? And he will answer her.
It's just, so my husband jokes about this, and I can't help myself, because for me, small talk is like nails on a chalkboard. Like, even doing the videos where, I tell you about the weather, and that, like, it's a little bit painful for me. Not doing the videos, but that part of it is a little bit painful for me, because I don't want to tell you about the weather. But my husband jokes that when we go to his work functions, I always make at least one person cry. And it is true.
I bet it's true.
It is true, but like not in a bad way. Sometimes people reevaluate their life choices. I've had couples that were going to get divorced that stayed together after I talked to them. And I've had people reevaluate their career paths and completely change their career. Or I had one man who was like hated his career, and I helped him to see it in a new light. And now every time I see him, he tells me like how well it's going. So I do love that, like deep conversation where you can, so there's something about me you probably didn't know.
And it's the intangible stuff what makes us us, and it's those intangible things that make us like each other. and appreciate each other. And that's, I think, why we're a good duo.
Totally.
I really do.
We're just great friends. And this, you probably can tell, but this is not fake.
It's very natural. We are real, this way.
Real friends. And we joke around and we get deep. We have deep conversations too. Not so much on camera, but...
I have straight up cried on camera.
That's
true. But usually I'm telling a story that makes me kind of sad. Or makes me happy in a crying way.
The stories that make me cry, or the things that make me cry, are usually like when you're going through a really, really hard time and someone shows kindness. That's the thing that just gets me. Anyway. And the other thing about me that you probably already know, but it's not exactly freezer meal related, but I make it freezer meal related, is that I'm a foodie. Okay, here's more bloopers. Sleeping. Whoa.
Honey mustard pepper chicken. Some chopped chipotle. So no matter the reason you need to have Sherwood Park, what the heck?
Okay, we love this question so much because this question came to us from Isla, who is our club member Kate's daughter. And Isla is just, like, she is such a champion of freezer meals. She is a cheerleader for us, and we love Isla. Like, she has a little piece of our hearts.
And Isla is a straight up piece of sunshine.
Yes, she is.
Yes, she is. They send us videos of her, and she's like talking about the freezer meals, or she's helping her mom make them. She just is a slice of life. I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely. So Isla asked us, what are your best recommendations for easy beginner meals? Because I have to cook once a week this summer. Could you do a kids cook freezer meals video? Now, we are going to give you some suggestions, Isla, of some great easy beginner freezer meals that you can easily make, and we have faith in you because we know that you can do this. But for the video, we're gonna wait on that. Because maybe someday you'll be visiting our area and you can come and be a guest in a video and we can show you.
That would be really nice. See if you can make that work, you know. You come on down and we'll have a Kids Can Cook video right here starring Isla.
So for beginner freezer meals, what would you say?
Something right out the gate for me is ground beef because it is easy to brown it. You can kind of overcook it without destroying it. Like, it's pretty forgiving that way. And even if you undercook it, you're going to put it in a freezer meal and then you're going to cook it again or warm it up. It's going to finish cooking when you have it on the day that you make it. So I think something with ground beef, something like
taco meat.
Taco meat is easy. Something that's maybe a little bit more involved because it involves bacon is Kathy's Lazy Rouladen because it's got pickles in it. And again, you can't overcook the pickles. And it's just really, really great and easy and super enjoyable. Everybody likes it.
Yeah, anything too that you can is a dump recipe. So you're just gonna dump the ingredients into the bag, like our Dr. Pepper pulled pork, our barbecue beef on a bun, any chicken with a marinade like that lady's
shredded chicken.
Yeah, barbecue shredded chicken, the chicken hurry, anything that's like a meat and a marinade, that's gonna be super, super easy for you. Well, quesadillas might be one that you could do where you use one of our recipes as a guide, but you throw in a bit of your own ideas, your own flavors. So I know that you like, Isla, your dad makes a queso. So I know that you probably like those Mexican-inspired flavors. So maybe you could take something like, take our buffalo chicken quesadillas recipe, but instead of using buffalo chicken in there, you could use just some leftover chicken, throw it in there, or you could do it without chicken and just do like a vegetarian version. You could do some cheese and a can of green chilies in there, some corn or some black beans, or some red pepper, tomato, or don't do tomato, it'll make it soggy. Some onion, now I don't know how you are on the spice, so I don't know if I should say jalapeno or not, but you know, if you like spicy, you throw that in there. So quesadillas are one where you can be a little bit more creative and you can use our recipe as a guide, but kind of let your own flair come out.
I like that idea. I thought you were going to say use the chicken, but instead of making buffalo sauce, roll it in the queso and put the queso right in to the quesadilla.
She's got a good idea.
That seems very kid-friendly to me. And you can get your dad involved. I like that idea.
We have more bloopers for you.
We're going to add our frozen pre-cooked meatball. Blah, blah, blah.
You can find some of these recipes in the description.
Then it is just like grind it up.
This camera.
It's gluten-free. It's.
I talked too much and then I had to breathe. Martha is wondering, I would love to learn how you would adapt freezer meals for people who may be disabled or have health issues. Before I answer this question, I just want to say, Martha is a rock star. Martha is in our Freezer Meals 101 Facebook group, which is an awesome community. You can find the link for that in the description below. And Martha has, I'm not sure what specifically, but some type of health challenge or disability or something that she just pushes through. She gets help when she needs it. She's gone through periods where I know that she recently had a surgery. It didn't matter. She stocked up before her surgery, and then afterwards, as soon as she was able to, she was back at it. She is incredible. She makes this work. So I'd actually be interested to hear from you, Martha, about what you do to make freezer meals work for you, because that might help other people. So I'm going to be asking you to put that. You can put it in the comments, but even if you want, if you have time, you could email it to us and we could share it in the group, or you could share it in the Facebook group, because your story is inspiring and I think it would help a lot of people.
I think so too. And if other people are wondering, some of the things that I have seen people do in our group is kind of what Charlotte just said. On the days that you're feeling good, you get at it and you make as many as you can, because there are days where you're not going to feel so good. So that's for these, kind of the invisible ones like lupus or Lyme disease or MS, the ones that they have flare-ups and you're like, today is not the day. But then when you're feeling good, you get at it so that on those days that you're not feeling good, you have them there in your freezer. Another thing that I see pop up occasionally in the group is we have a husband and wife that sit while they do them. Mm-hmm. They don't have a lot of mobility, and they sit at their kitchen table and they do it together. And they maybe take turns to get up and go get the next thing out of the fridge. And they kind of spread it over a long period of time, but that is how they do it. And that works really well for them. And did you know we have one club member who is legally blind? And I am actually very curious to find out how she does freezer meals, because, we've seen on TV, obviously there are people, or maybe in your life, there are people who are blind that can cook and know their way around a kitchen without a lot of vision happening. And I'm always so impressed with people who do that. So if that lady can make freezer meals, you can make freezer meals. That's what I think.
Absolutely. And yeah, you just want to take it in smaller bite-sized pieces instead of trying to do a mega marathon like you've seen us do, where we cook for a full 2 days in a row, morning till night kind of thing. You don't want to do that if you've got mobility issues, if you've got health issues, if you've got things that are going to hold you back like that. What you want to do is just do bite-sized pieces. You just want to maybe double your dinner and freeze one and eat one that night if you're having a good day. Or you can do a small session where it's maybe an hour, and in that hour, sure, maybe someone who has more mobility, more energy could do 10 meals in that hour. If you can do 4, that's 4 meals that are in your freezer. That's amazing. That, you need to just celebrate what you can do and make it work for you. If you can get help, obviously that is awesome. But another thing that you can do is you can buy things that are a help. So if you want to buy your chicken that's already cooked and shredded, then that's a few less steps that you have to do. Yes, it costs a little bit more, but it's still going to be way less than ordering out, picking up takeout. or, obviously going and sitting in a restaurant. So it's still going to save you money in the end, but it's going to save you all of those steps. Another thing you can do is you can buy your peppers already sliced and frozen. You can buy onions already diced and frozen. There's things that you can do that will just save on that prep time for you. And don't be hard on yourself. Like, if you have to do those little cheats, they're not really cheats. You're still making the food. You're still knowing what's going in your food. This is still from scratch, even if someone else cooked the chicken and shredded it for you. So just celebrate what you're able to do and do it within the parameters of what you're able to do. Shake it out. Okay.
And
Oh, you just had to swear.
I did, I swore.
That is unusual.
It isn't, but I try not to on video.
You don't do it at my house.
No, I don't a lot. You can find the recipe for the description. You can find the description. You can find the recipe.
Oh no, my stomach is sore from the sit-ups. You're making me laugh. Okay.
Hold that together.
Okay.
I bare knuckled that, like, how was dumb anyway.
That was fun.
It was funny.
Okay.
Once it's all together, no.
Go to
Because it absolutely,
Some of you have asked me to share my story when it comes to foster care and adoption. So today I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to keep the stories to my perspective on things because there are certain aspects of the stories that belong to our kids, and that is really for them to decide when to share and if to share, and of course, who to share it with and not put it on YouTube. So I'm going to try to be really respectful of their stories and just kind of share my journey and my husband's journey and how we came to have this huge, beautiful family that we have now. So back when I was 9 or 10 years old, I was in Girl Guides just for that 1 year, and I made a friend. Her family were foster parents, and they had also adopted 2 of their kids. They had 2 bio kids as well. And I spent a lot of time with her family that year. I got to see how beautiful it could be to just share love and to accept people the way they are. And I would sometimes have the opportunity to go with her family to volunteer at Special Olympics, because she had a sister who had Down syndrome. She had a brother who was deaf. I was able to learn a few simple signs and just see how much love was in her family. And I was really drawn to that. It made me think a lot, even at that young age, about maybe having the opportunity to open my family and my home and my heart to a child someday that I hadn't given birth to. So that was a seed that was planted way, way, way back then. Fast forward, and when my husband and I were kind of newly married and very young, we had 2 biological sons, and we talked about adoption and foster care. And it was actually kind of shocking to me because I always assumed that I would do both. My husband and I had never talked about it. I just kind of thought that this is something that, like, of course he would want to do. And he let me know that while adoption was something that he was really open to, he never wanted to be a foster parent. There was a family member of his who'd been a foster parent, and he just felt like it was too hard on the whole family. And so I was a little bit surprised, actually. I was like, why did God put this on my heart but not on his heart? But okay, I'll totally accept that, and I'm really thankful that he's open to adoption. So we went about taking these classes that you have to take in our area before you adopt. We had decided to adopt through foster care, and so they group the classes together. Whether you want to become a foster parent or an adoptive parent, you take the same classes in the beginning. So at the time, it was 4 full Saturdays that we had to go and attend these classes. And every week there would be this one woman who was one of the facilitators, and she had been a foster parent forever. She had so many stories, and she'd share these stories. And my heart was just like breaking, and also joyful at the same time. Like, she'd share where they had a foster daughter that was only with them for 4 or 5 months, but then years later, she called them and asked if her husband would walk her down the aisle because he was the closest thing to a dad she ever had. Things like that, where it just really showed me what a difference you can make in the lives of kids, even if you only have them for a short time. There was one morning where she came in and told us about a sibling group of 5 under the age of 7 who had come into foster care over the weekend, and they weren't able to find a home to place them in. So these 5 siblings had to go to a hotel where they had workers on 8-hour shifts. And in that group of 5, they had a set of 8-month-old twins. And I just, like, my heart was breaking at the thought of these babies who need that attachment, like need one person to attach to. They need that primary caregiver, and just having that attachment broken by having workers on 8-hour shifts. I wanted to take them home right then, which was not realistic and we hadn't even done our home study yet or anything like that, but it just broke my heart. And that day on our drive home, my husband turned to me and he said, we're still really young, so maybe we could foster and then adopt, and that way we'd be able to help more kids and make more of a difference. So that's how we came to foster care, kind of in a roundabout way. And shortly after that, we did our home study. We were approved. The home study is quite a process, but it should be. It should be something where you have to open up your lives and really answer a lot of questions, because you'll be taking kids who've already experienced trauma potentially, and you don't want to further traumatize them. You want to be a really safe, loving place for them. So our first placement through foster care was a little girl who was 16 months old, and I just fell head over heels in love with her immediately. My husband too. It was our first time having a little girl in our home because we had 2 sons, and it was just so wonderful to be able to love her and take care of her. It was just such a privilege. And then over the months, at one point it looked like she might at some point be available for adoption, and we were very excited and willing to adopt her and have her be part of our family forever. But we started to notice that her birth mom was doing well. Like, she was really making changes, she was addressing things, and she was working really hard to get her daughter back. So you have those conflicting feelings, and just being really honest about that is like, we loved her so much and didn't want to lose her, but at the same time, like, that's her mom. And so my perspective really started to change through that experience. And we were really able to work with her mom to encourage her and to help give her some skills and some strategies for how to parent. And then when the time came, that little girl was actually able to go back and live with her mom. And even though part of our hearts were breaking because we loved her so, so much, we also were really happy for the 2 of them. We were really happy that they were going to be together, and that's really as it should be whenever it's safe and possible for that to happen. So that really changed our perspective a lot. And I'm not going to share about every single one of the 17 foster kids that we had over an 8-year period, but I just wanted to share that story because we still have contact with that little precious girl who is all grown up now, and we were able to attend her high school graduation. She was the first person in her family to graduate high school, and we were just like bursting with pride. We were so proud of her, but we were also really proud of her mom. Like, to have broken that cycle is just incredible, and I'm still so proud of her mom. We still have contact with her mom and with her. We were able to attend her wedding. She's got 2 beautiful children, and we get to be part of their lives. So even though there are really hard stories in foster care, there are really hard things that we experienced, that the kids that we had the opportunity to have in our home, really hard things that they went through. And, it's definitely not all unicorns and rainbows. It is really, really, really tough. But I did want to share that one story of redemption and hope, because there are those stories out there, and we feel so privileged to have been able to be a little part of not only her story, but her mom's story too. And then when it comes to adoption, we kind of stumbled into that through foster care. Our foster care agency knew that we were open to adoption, so they were kind of looking at files as they would come in and seeing if there were kids that were probably more likely to someday be available for adoption. They obviously want to put them in a home like ours, because the less you can move kids, the better it is for them. The more stability it's going to create, the easier attachments are going to be. It's a lot less traumatic. So we got a phone call about a little girl who was 3 days old. She was just 4 pounds, 14 ounces, and they asked us if we would be open to fostering her and possibly someday adopting her if things went that way. I said yes to that phone call, and we got to meet this beautiful little girl. My husband and I both just kept gushing about how she was just the most beautiful thing we'd ever seen. But because she was so tiny, she actually looked like an old man or like a little bird. We just didn't see it because the love was just so fierce that we didn't see what other people saw. So their faces, when we would tell them, like, isn't she just so beautiful, were quite funny. Anyway, and so that little girl became our daughter. It took about 4.5 years for the adoption to finalize, but she was in our home from the time that she was 3 days old. And we got to be there for all of her firsts, and all of the, over the years got to be we're her parents, we're her family. And so it was really an honor to get to raise her. And I'm gonna jump ahead in my story. And when she was just 8 months old, we got a call about a 6-month-old baby. And normally I probably would have said no to that, because a 6-month-old and an 8-month-old, they're basically twins. We were already pretty busy. We had another long-term foster child at the time. We had our 2 boys. They were probably like 6 and 8 by then. So we were quite busy, and I might have said no. However, this is a little boy who we had fostered his sister for a long time, and we really loved her and felt like we loved him by extension. It felt like we already knew him, even though we never met him. So we said yes again. So then we had our twins, who were not really twins, and we had a lot of adventures. They got into lots of mischief together, and they were super cute and fun, and we were busy, so busy. So we thought at that point, maybe 4 is enough. At that point, we thought maybe 4 is enough. We had talked about having 6 kids. We sort of planned for maybe having 6 kids, but 4 was really busy. 4 was a lot. So we went about things with our 4. We had 1 or 2 other foster kids that we were taking care of here and there during that time. But, life was busy, life was good. And we were moving towards the adoptions with the 2 that we had. And then one Tuesday morning, we got a phone call. And you know how your life can change just in 1 minute? Well, that's exactly what happened then. We got a phone call that our daughter's birth mom had had a baby girl the day before. I guess someone was supposed to tell us 4 months earlier and just forgot. So this was quite a shock to us. We weren't expecting this at all. But they asked if we would be willing to take her. I went down to my husband's office. He was working from home at the time, and I walked in and said, I think we just had a baby. So 2 hours later, we held our second daughter in our arms for the first time, and she was 24 hours old. We found out later that she actually arrived at our house to the minute 24 hours after she was born, which was really cool. And we held her that night, looked down at her, tried to pick a name for her, and, realized that our lives had just taken a really big turn. So then they went from busy to just absolute chaos. We, at that point, had 6 kids between our 5 and a long-term foster son that we had. So every day was just, it was crazy. I had the double stroller, and sometimes I had a double stroller and a backpack carrier, and I don't know. I look back now and I wonder how we did it. I really have no idea how I had that kind of energy, but I did, and we managed, and things settled into a rhythm. And our adoption of our second daughter went through quite quickly, but it took a long time for our adoption of our son, the one who's 2 months younger than our oldest daughter, to go through. So we continued to stay in the foster care world while we completed his adoption. We were able to help a few more kids during that time, and we were able to settle our long-term foster son into a forever family. So there were lots of ups and downs during that period, but when the dust settled, we decided to close our home to foster care. We loved having the kids, but it was really, really hard dealing with the system. There were wonderful social workers that we worked with over the years, and then some not so wonderful, but in general, just wonderful, wonderful social workers that we worked with over the years, and people that care so much about kids. But the system needs an overhaul, I'll say that. So we found that it was just too difficult on us emotionally to be in that. And we also found that now that we were, up to 5 of our own kids, with all of the adoptions finalizing, we thought, we're probably pretty maxed out in terms of that emotional roller coaster. We also found it really difficult. I'll just be honest. We took mostly babies and young kids, and I found it really difficult having to, grow attached to them and then letting them go. Even when the circumstances were good, that was really hard, but sometimes the circumstances were not good, and we had to let go of kids that we knew were going into unsafe circumstances, and that was so hard, just so hard. And all you could do for them was pray for them and hope for the best. But it was just really emotional. So it had taken a toll over those 8 years, and we decided to close our home to foster care. Very quickly after that, we started talking about international adoption. We had talked about it once years earlier when we first started on the adoption journey. But at that time, my husband was just getting out of school. We had 2 young kids, and we certainly didn't have the money for an international adoption. So it kind of came up, was put on the table again, and we knew that the need was so big in our own country, in our own province for sure, but internationally as well. Now I'm going to interject, and I'm going to say that that's how I felt at the time. When we first started our fostering and adoption journey, I was 23 years old. I was a baby. And I had a really romanticized view of adoption. Over the years, I've learned a lot. I've talked to birth families. I've talked to adult adoptees. I've talked to foster families. I've talked to adoptive families. And of course, we were a foster family and an adoptive family. And I've talked to my own adopted kids. And it is just so much more complicated than I ever understood. And my romanticized notions of I can help, I can make a difference, they were coming from the right place, and all of my intentions were good. But there are so many layers and so many complicated things when it comes to adoption that I look back now and think about how I inadvertently simplified things and And I don't feel the same way now sitting here talking to you than I did at the time. So while of course we don't regret adopting internationally, we wouldn't change that because we wouldn't have the kids we have if we hadn't done that. It's not something necessarily that I would advise people now to do without a lot of research, without maybe being willing to go and live in that country for an extended period of time with that child, because it's so hard on the kids. It's so hard on them to have to, in our case, our kids were older, so learn a new language, be in an entirely new culture, lose your country, lose the people who maybe look like you, lose everything you've ever known. And while I did realize at the time that they were going to lose those things, I didn't fully understand the impact that would have on them. I didn't fully appreciate how traumatic that is. So I want to be fully transparent again and just say that now, with the benefit of experience and age and hopefully a little bit more wisdom, I no longer have this romanticized view of adoption in general, let alone international adoption. And so if that's something that you have considered, I'm not saying that you shouldn't pursue that, but just consider possibly maybe going and staying longer, maybe moving your family there for a year even, just so that that child is able to get used to you, able to trust you, able to feel secure with you before you move them to a new country with all the things that come with that. So that is my little international adoption rant. But my story is that my husband and I, because we had originally talked about 6 kids, now we were at 5, and we thought maybe if we just adopted 1 baby girl, then we would have 3 boys, 3 girls. Everyone would fit in our van because we had an 8-passenger van. That would fit into our plan. Like, it was this whole, everything is like in its neat little box. And so we went about the process of adopting from Ethiopia. At the time, it was quite a long process. There was a lot of paperwork, of course, again, as there should be, and we started to go through that. At the time that we were going through that, simultaneously, I was reading a book about the orphan crisis in Ethiopia at the time, and I got my husband to read the same book, and I was learning a lot. The book is called There Is No Me Without You. And I actually got copies. I think I bought 30 copies and gave them to friends and family because we really wanted people to understand, what we were learning. And also we wanted to give them a little bit of a heads up about why our minds had changed. So at the time, there were 5.6 million orphans in Ethiopia. When we were doing our home study, I remember the social worker asking us, like, well, would you consider taking 2? You guys have, I think she said, or 3. But anyway, she said, you guys have a lot of experience. You have experience with special needs. You have experience, with your fostering, with your other adoptions. You've got a lot of experience. Would you consider more than 1? And we were like, no, like, are you crazy? We are maxed out. The 3 kids that we had adopted from foster care all had special needs. So we were already we thought 1 more was just stretching it even. So we're like, no, we're good. But over the course of the next few weeks, I felt a nudge, and I prayed about it and started to see what I thought were signs that we were supposed to adopt a sibling group. This scared me a lot, and I felt really ill-equipped. I felt like I cannot possibly raise 7 kids. Like, I don't know why for me 6 to 7 made such a difference, but I just had it in my head that I could not possibly raise 7. And I remember hearing this quote at the time, and the quote was, God does not call the qualified, he qualifies the called. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's very convicting. But I don't know, I still don't feel equipped. Like, I am not qualified. Like, I was kind of like, maybe ask someone else, because someone else would be better at this than me. But it just kind of continued to come up, and these things that I thought were signs, I still think they were signs, but, kept coming forward. So finally, I had a little chat with God, and I was like, listen, it was a challenge to convince my husband to be willing to go to 6. Like, this was a stretch for him at 6. There is no way I'm going to go to him and ask if we can go to 7. There is just no way. I'm not doing this. So I literally said to God, if this is what you want, you tell him, because I'm not going to. And so you know how this story ends, right? My husband is the one that actually approached me about adopting a sibling group. So we went back and we had to redo our home study in order to, be approved for a sibling group. So it did set us back in the process. Although, all the timing, I'm sure, worked out for a reason. And then we were approved for this sibling group. We were matched with a boy and a girl, not one baby girl. We were matched with a 7-year-old and an almost 4-year-old. So we already had 2 7-year-olds. So that was going to bring our total of 7-year-olds to 3, because having virtual twins was not enough. Now I had virtual triplets. So that was kind of a little bit of, something we didn't see coming. But as we were doing the process, we passed court in Ethiopia. The kids were legally ours. And then this big scandal broke out that the head of our adoption agency here in Canada had embezzled the money. And the kids in Ethiopia were without food. The orphanage workers were not being paid. And our kids were caught up in this crisis. So it became an emergency. We did not have visas to be allowed to go and bring our kids back to Canada, but they were starving in another country and they were legally ours. So there was no, it was not really a decision. We just knew what the right thing to do was. My husband flew immediately to go and rescue them. And I stayed here and tried to secure visas. We were supposed to get the visas 5 months from then. So this was not something that was simple. And in those weeks, I was able to almost secure our visas, and I felt confident enough that we were going to get them that I flew to Ethiopia to meet my husband, meet the kids, and my sister-in-law came with me. And we flew home with our kids. Again, I did not fully understand at that time how traumatic that experience would be for them because of the way that the bankruptcy happened and everything happened so quickly. The kids really didn't get the opportunity to have it explained to them what was really happening. And it was just this strange white man came and got them and carried them up 2 flights of stairs in a blackout where it was pitch dark, and they were kicking and screaming, and it was like super scary for them. So the whole experience was really, really scary and traumatic for them. They spoke Amharic, so they did not speak English, and I tried my best to learn as much Amharic as I could, but again, we just had a very short window. We didn't have those 5 months to prepare that I thought that I would. So I'd had about a week. So that was, my Amharic was limited and their English was nothing. They had no English. So that whole experience was really challenging. We brought them home to a sea of media, or were reporters from across the country. We were getting calls even from the United States and across Canada from media. in that like really tumultuous time for us. So it was all just really a lot. But then we had our family of 9, and over the years that followed, there were a lot of challenges. Our daughter from Ethiopia actually lost her hearing starting when she was 8, and just add that into the mix of the other special needs that we had already with our other kids. And then over the years, we discovered that some of our kids have some other rare genetic things and rare medical things, and it's just been like a very interesting life, never a dull moment. We kind of joke about that, but it's entirely true. And 5 of our kids, our 5 adopted kids, are all in a really tight age span. There's 3 that are all within the same year. And then 3 years after that, we've got 2 that are really, really tight together. So kind of in a 4-year period, we've got 5 kids. So that of course came with its challenges too. People used to say to us, like, did you realize at the time that you were going to have 5 or 6 teenagers all at the same time? We hadn't thought that far ahead, I'll be honest. So it has definitely been an adventure over the years. I don't regret adopting, because otherwise we wouldn't have the amazing kids that we have. I do regret that I thought I was informed. I thought I knew a lot. We had taken a lot of courses on attachment and trauma and different types of prenatal exposures and different, and all kinds of adoption related things and connective parenting and all of that. And so I thought that we were prepared, but I wish that I had been even more prepared, that I had done even more to have more empathy for what our kids went through. And I'm thankful that I've learned so much. I'm thankful for the birth families that have taught me over the years. So I wish that I could go back to 23-year-old me and tell me that this was not as simple or romanticized as I was making it, and that yes, I would be able to make a difference in the lives of kids and even of some adults, but that this was going to be a really, really hard road, not just for myself and my husband and for our other kids, but for, everyone involved. Like I said, adoption and foster care are really, really complicated. And it is, I guess, not for the faint of heart. And while there have been so many blessings along the way, and, we're still reaping the blessings from that, I don't want to take away from the fact that this was a hard journey, not just for us, but for our kids and for our foster kids and for their first families. And we are thankful for their first families. We are thankful for all the support and love that we've had from our extended family and close friends. This has not been an easy road to walk, and it is one that honestly we are continuing to walk. We now have full custody of our first grandson, who is 2, because of some of the special needs and challenges that come on that adoption road that were involved in his birth family. So this journey continues. Our story is not done, and our kids' stories are not done. So I hope that I've answered some of your questions. I feel like I'm like, adoption's great, but it's also really hard. And if you have some specific questions, you can put them in the comments below. Again, I try to protect our kids' identities and their stories. So I won't answer some of the questions, but if you have questions about like our process or some of the things that we found the most helpful over the years in terms of for our parenting, I will say right now, just because it's coming to my mind, that all of Karen Purvis's resources, we really found life-changing for our family. So when it comes to parenting kids from hard places, she was the absolute expert, and my husband and I were privileged enough to go and see her in person before she passed away. And that conference and all of her videos and writings and everything really helped shape the kind of parents we were, and the kind of parents we continue to be, in terms of trying to have more empathy for what our kids went through prior to coming to us. And we hope that we know that we have been far from perfect parents, but we hope that we continue to get better and better all the time. And yeah, thank you for listening to this really long, rambly story. Thank you so much for all your support on this YouTube channel. Without you, we would not be at 75,000 subscribers. That number still blows my mind.
It kind of does. And you can't imagine how this fame has gone to our heads.
We've been recognized when we're out, and it's a really strange thing.
Because we're just living our lives here and doing this, we're doing it in front of a camera. All this food that we make, we really eat. The mega sessions are totally real. And so it's like, we're just doing what we do, we just happen to film it. And now you're here with us. And that's the part that we forget about. And so it's weird to be recognized in public, but it's kind of cool.
I was at this Canada Day festival, and there was someone who was staring at me, and I knew it was that, you know, that thing where someone's looking at you and you know that they're trying to place you? Like they're trying to figure out, like, where do I know you from, you know? And so we're having a little bit more of that happening. And then people go, and then they don't come talk to you because they realize that you don't know them, but they know
I have done that to somebody. There is a woman named Jen. She's from Mama Lion Strong, and she's also one of the founders of Balance 365. And if you don't know either of those things, go look her up. She's wonderful. I was in a store in Kamloops. We were driving to Vancouver, and I saw her, and I did exactly what you just said of, why is that mom from my hometown there? Why is she here? Why doesn't she know me? And then I did go and talk to her, though, because she actually has made a very big impact on my life. And she was very kind about it and very nice. And, you know, it was a Thursday night in a grocery store in Kamloops. But, you know, those sorts of things happen. And they have a huge following, so I'm sure it's not the first time. And if it's happening to us, it definitely happens to her. And so, yes, I've had that experience. It's kind of fun. Oh, and don't forget about the fortune. Yeah, there's no fortune.
No,
not yet.
We haven't hit the fortune yet, but if you want to share this with like all the people, we wouldn't be opposed to fortune.
Maybe not this one specifically.
No, don't share this video. This video is just
not the good starter video.
Our bloopers, but if you want to go and share one of our good videos, we're going to put a good video right over there. So if you haven't seen us before, go check that out. If you want to share a video, share that one. And we just appreciate all of you. We're going to see you again for another bloopers video when we hit 100,000 subscribers, which is crazy and blows my mind. But thank you so much for helping us get here, because without you, we wouldn't be here.
It's very true.